This video is all about how we make these tomato cages out of concrete wire mesh. They're strong and simple and they hold up to a lot of wind, and we really like them for our tomato plants that end up getting pretty massive and pretty weighed down. If you want to see just how we make them, stick around. So this year we decided to plant 231 tomatoes in our dedicated tomato only garden, and we had a lot of extra cages to make. In the past we've had up to 100 tomatoes in our garden, and it was mixed in with all of our other produce in different rows, but this year we have a dedicated only tomato garden with a lot of tomatoes, and therefore we need a lot of tomato cages. To make our tomato cages, we use concrete wire mesh because they're really strong and sturdy. They hold up to a lot of weight and they hold up to a lot of wind. And we get a lot of wind here in Montana. You might ask why we aren't trellising all of these tomatoes. Well, the reason is because we do something that's a little controversial. We really don't prune our tomato plants. We let them get big and bushy and grow lots of suckers, and we get a lot of tomatoes. And this method works well here for us because once the summer ends up getting really hot, we don't get much rain. We aren't as susceptible to some of the fungus and disease that's common in other places of the country where they get a lot more moisture in the summer. So we do not prune, and these tomato cages really allow for us to have a big sturdy place for all of the vines and leaves and everything to grow right up in, and you can reach your hands in there and grab pretty big fruit out of it and get them out without any damage. We don't have to spend time trellising all the time. We do have to go around and push the tomatoes up into the cage every other day for a while when they're growing, or sometimes we let it slide a little bit to like every 4 days or something like that. They are just pretty easy. It's a big part of the reason we like them. And they are not those cages you get at the store. Those cages that you can buy at the store, they will not hold our plants. So we needed something big, and this is what was passed down to us as a good idea. So with our high winds that we get, if we had our tomatoes up on a trellis, they would probably get blown off with some of the winds that we get, or they would probably break and snap, and it would honestly be a lot of upkeep. So we really prefer this method here. And once you make these cages, they're done. You have them. They seem to last for quite a while. These cages right here, this one in particular was actually my dad's. It came from his garden all the way in New Mexico, and it's going to be in our garden and keep working for, I would guess, another 20 years or so. Another thing we really like about these tomato cages is once you're done at the end of the season, you just pop them out of the ground. I will show you them actually. They have spikes at the bottom. We cut off that bottom ring. You pop them out of the ground and we just kind of throw them in a nice stack, and they sit there all winter long. You do kind of need a big space to be able to accommodate as many tomato cages as we have, but I guess they're just going to sit in the garden all winter. It's no muss, no fuss for cleanup. We don't have a bunch of twine inside of these cages. If we were doing a trellis, we would have a bunch of twine and stuff that we'd have to put in a pile and burn up or do something with. I'm not really sure what people do, but you just pull the tomato plant out of it and you're ready to go. Did I mention that these support a lot of weight? Some of our plants get very big and very heavy, and these really support a lot of weight. We have made cages out of horse fencing, and those tend to get crushed, and we do still have those. If you subscribe to our channel and follow us, you will see that we are still using those cages on certain varieties of tomatoes. We use them on tomato plants that we know don't get that big because we don't want to just get rid of them. I mean, we still have them, so we're going to use them. Concrete wire mesh, the wire is super stiff. Like I can bend that, but it definitely takes some strength. So yeah, they're super awesome. A big roll of this, it's a 150-foot roller, the ones we get. They are kind of pricey, but if you price it out for how many cages you get out of it, it is cost effective for how many years they hold up to and how strong they are and just the product that you're getting at the end. The way that we have done them, and this tomato cage came from my dad, so it was done a little bit differently. But the way that we have done our tomato cages, we've figured that a roll of 150 feet length for the concrete wire mesh does 33 cages. And you can get concrete wire mesh at Home Depot or maybe your local metal yard or something like that. If you decide to go with this method, you can definitely make the hoop bigger or smaller, whatever you decide what would accommodate your space. We just have decided to make ours 10 squares long. That just is what accommodates us.
I'm going to take the wire off so you can unroll this spool. We bought this used from someone else who had leftovers and wanted to get rid of it. So it's a small, short roll. Now it will unspool. So we want 10. We go for 10 square wide tomato cages. It's kind of a pain to unroll this stuff, especially when you get down towards the end of the wire, end of the roll.
I'll stand on it.
It's okay.
Let it whack me.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're gonna go one extra to give us one to tie with. When you cut the stuff, it really has some tension to it, so it'll shoot these pokers into your legs and whatnot and cut the heck out of you. So
You have some good scrapes from that
you got to be
today.
careful. Yeah. So there's our 10. Then you can do this all at once and not have to do it in steps like I'm doing. But anyway, you take your tag ends and we just bend them over like that. Just do a quick bend, and you can make cages really fast that way. And try not to make your tags stick out over the cage so they catch your clothes and whatnot when you walk by. Bend them up. And we'll cut this end off. This end's going to go on the ground. And that could be staking material or something if you're really trying to pinch pennies. There is a cage. That's how big they go at 10 squares. And that just goes out in the garden. Another pointer would be to put the tie end on the inside of the row, or along the inside of the row, so you don't walk by and catch your clothes with it. These go in really nice like this, but when your plants get to be this tall with 50 pounds of fruit on them or whatever, and you get a high wind, it can blow the whole plant in the cage over. So you need a little extra staking. If you're doing it in like a backyard scale, you only had 20 plants or something around there, you could take a 4-foot piece of lath or something. It'd be really cheap, just a 4-foot chunk of wood, and pound it in like that on your prevailing wind side, and that would keep your cages up. That's what we've done in the past. This year, since we have 200 cages to do, we're going to try to do a new economical way and high efficiency way with cable and T-posts. We're going to put T-posts on both ends, maybe one in the middle, run cable down through the middle of the cages here and all the way down the row to the other end of the T-post, and have anchors on both ends for the cable so it's nice and tight. And then either the cable will just sit in here, or we'll zip tie it to like the cross members, possibly. I don't know. Either way, that should hold the cages up if they get a big push from the wind like that. That's what our thoughts are. Right now we'll get 40-mile-an-hour gusts easy, and it topples plants over, come out, and your plants will be toppled over, which doesn't kill them. It's not the end of the world, but it's a pain in the butt to have to come out every time you get a big wind and tip your plants back up, tip the cages back up, and probably not good for the cages or the plants. So we're going to try to get them staked down good so they don't do that.
Well, that's it for the concrete wire mesh. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider liking it, and please consider subscribing to our channel if you want to learn some more of the different tricks that we've done throughout the years, and some things that we think are really handy to know. And also, if you want to watch our garden grow. Thanks for watching.